Happy Wednesday Wellness, everybody.
Happy Wednesday.
We're back. We had some time to film some videos
matching
today. And we're matching. We got our new Rise gear. So today we're going to talk about what is a subluxation. I think we maybe did a video on this in our old office. Probably
during COVID when we had time.
Probably during COVID when we had time. So what, like 4 or 5 years ago probably at this point.
It's been a while.
So if you go way back in the archives, we look a little younger. I think my hair might be a different color.
I don't have these jowls.
It's weird how time happens. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we just wanted to kind of revamp and re-go over some of the basics that we used to talk about in a lot of these Wednesday Wellness videos.
Yeah, the whole backbone of
backbone of chiropractic. I like that. The spine of chiropractic care.
The philosophy of chiropractic care is all on subluxation, which maybe we don't always.
Subluxation is a really fancy word. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of people just think of whatever, misalignment and stuff like that too, which it is partially. Yeah. That is a big part of what subluxation is and what we're looking for. Yeah. And why we do the scans and stuff. But the subluxation is what chiropractors are addressing. It's what we're looking for that's causing that dysfunction, that dysautonomia, that dysregulation in the nervous system. And then by adjusting that subluxation, we can help restore that communication between the brain and the body, basically. And so
100% video over. That's
video
all.
Over. That's drop the spine.
Spine drop.
So subluxations you can have in any joint in the body. Basically, it means it's a minor dislocation, which is what a luxation is. A medical subluxation is still kind of a higher grade. What we're talking about with chiropractic is very minimal luxation, basically. Okay. So subluxation kind of. But basically, so what categorizes that is a misalignment. And for the most part, as chiropractors, we're talking about misalignment in the vertebrae. So the vertebrae make up your spine, and it's what all these little bones are that are all stacked on top of each other. And that protects your central nervous system. And so there's a whole bunch of little joints that bring all these bones together, and all of those joints send a bunch of proprioception and information back to the brain. So when there's a misalignment, what happens is it can cause fixation. And so that fixation means that there's reduced motion in those joints.
It's I threw my neck out. I can't.
Yeah, I know. We think about it in a big way of I'm muscle guarding, everything's really tight, my brain's not getting the feedback that it needs from this area. And so we think of usually big traumas, I slept wrong.
I brushed my hair.
I
tied my shoe.
I picked up the laundry basket, or I was putting my kid to bed.
But the biggest trauma is birth trauma. That's what we always talk about.
The biggest trauma is birth trauma. A lot of people think of whiplash, car accidents, that kind of stuff. But there's little traumas that we go throughout the day, if we sit at a desk, that kind of stuff. Stress. Yeah. Just being mentally, emotionally stressed is also considered trauma in the body and stuff too, and that can also cause subluxation. Another thing is toxins in our body too. If we're not detoxing
in
well,
our body,
so those all of those things can also affect the alignment of the bones too, which seems a little crazy, but just trust me.
Just trust me. It's putting your nervous system in an imbalance.
Yes, exactly.
In the end, putting your body in a fight or flight response.
Exactly. Yep. And so the way that happens, with the spine, that fixation stops sending input back to the brain, right? Because we're not getting joint movement, we're not getting proprioception in that area, and that switches our nervous system into a fight or flight state because we're missing information.
Ooh, it's bad.
It's bad.
It's not good.
And so over time, what this does is we get trapped in that cycle, and so we can't get out, and that creates more and more stress, right?
Yeah.
We just kind of get into the snowball effect of stress in our body.
Of sympathetic dominance, and when we're there, sadly, your body can't be in a parasympathetic state.
Exactly, and we can't heal, and we're not going to be our immune system's going to suffer, and our sleep's going to suffer, and all of the nice, restorative, lovely things that we should be doing all suffers.
Difficulty sleeping, digestion, Yeah, immune system. Has your kid been sick constantly since the start of school? Not great. Your kid's probably stuck in fight or flight, which probably started from the stress of starting school.
Yep, exactly.
And so then behavioral emotional dysregulation.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So then what all that does is it throws us into a state of neurological imbalance, basically. So that's what that fight or flight response is, and that's what we measure with our scans that we do. So we do thermography, which is going to show us how brain's regulating blood flow to the spine. That's really showing us where is that dysautonomia happening? Where are we having miscommunication
Where do
that
we
the
need to
brain
focus?
can't regulate things?
Like, where did it start?
Yeah.
Like, where is the primary subluxation issue is kind of what we're looking at there.
Exactly. Is this something that's like buried deep down? Has this been going on for a really long time?
Because when we see a baby, it's like, why does baby have stress? Why do they have a subluxation? Well,
birth trauma.
Yeah, birth trauma. Okay. In being in utero, then just being born, right? But maybe mom had, as we talked about emotions, had a super stressful pregnancy. Well, then that baby usually is very stressed also. And we can see that in the scans. I mean, usually you can see it in baby's behavior, but also then we can say like, oh, here, look at these scans. This baby is stuck in fight or flight. Of course they're crying all the time.
Yeah.
Like
brain can't regulate
their emotions. Oh, they're probably really gassy also. Like their digestion's all out of.
This is why they're puking and pooping.
Yeah, and this is why they're not sleeping well, because their body literally can't get into that rest, digest, growth, repair. If you're stuck in that fight or flight, you cannot get there. You can't be in both at the same time.
Exactly. That's why we do the EMG too, to see how brain is regulating that muscle tone. So much of that is proprioception in the nervous system and all that feedback that's coming from the environment back up to the brain. And so if we're getting like muscles that are like either super active or way underactive, that's also showing us dysregulation that's happening in the nervous system too.
And we'll see it a lot with kiddos with emotional dysregulation, that their muscles are firing way too hard, or like
ADHD, like fidgety kids, like they're getting too much information from that area that it's like Metallica's playing full blast in their brain, so they can't pay attention in school because they're getting way too much input.
You can't even think about like trying to learn math right now.
Exactly.
Or reading.
And then the heart rate variability is looking at that sympathetic versus parasympathetic state too. Like, where are we falling on that graph? Are we super stressed out? Are we really fatigued? Are we like just kind of like stuck over even on the like hyper fatigue parasympathetic side too, because like that's usually a sign of like more burnout, like we've been going
so like a
so
teenager
long.
Like there probably
Exactly.
And the thing is, like, it just, like we said, snowballs. Like, okay, if we have babies born, we have a stressed out colicky baby, you don't see us at all, we don't take care of it, usually becomes probably a tantrum toddler, maybe a toddler that doesn't crawl. And then with digestive constipation.
And then we start the diagnosis cycle.
And then we start school. Then we have a sensory processing disorder. They can't stand their socks. They can't, they can't stand loud noises. And then now they're ADHD. And then we're a depressed, anxious teenager.
And it just kind of
cycles.
Keeps going.
It's the perfect storm, they call it.
But we want to...
So that's why we like to see babies early on.
Yes.
It's like why when we see a mom during pregnancy, we always offer that no-charge thermography scan. So we can hopefully help that baby early, so like that's not their life cycle. We can stop that early. But if your kid, is a tantrumy toddler or a sensory kid in school or an anxious, depressed teenager, like we can still help them. We can still help. Absolutely. It just takes a little longer. Like it's probably more stuck in there, but we can still help them.
And that's why we got into this. That's why we wanted to work with pregnant moms and with babies and with kids, is so that we could like help change the trajectory of these kids' lives. That's what we're super passionate about. And if you've been here, that's what we're all about.
And the kids usually love it. They love to come here. They're like, you need adjusted. Once they get adjusted, they know it makes them feel better. Like, they notice.
We get the comments from parents all the time. And like, the only time they sit still is when they're sitting on the chiropractic table. It's when they're getting adjusted and they're just like falling asleep on the table. Because it feels so nice.
So hopefully this answered some questions of like why we're doing what we're doing and why you should get your kiddos checked, but also yourself checked, because also us parents are super stressed out.
Like,
it
affects everybody.
We get adjusted weekly. So all right. I don't think we have any specials going on that we usually do.
Write any questions below this video, and we'll try to answer them for you and try to get back to you.
And you can schedule, if this sounds like, hey, like, no, this is, I need to get my kid in, or I need to get myself in, you can schedule online, you can text the office, you can call the office, you can message us, however.
We're available for you.
Okay. Have a great week.